Okay, Mr. Chris, I'm ready when you are.
We're good? Alright. Hey everybody, my name is Chris Kelly, that's my name right there. So Dan just talked to you about some really awesome techniques and some things, and I see that you got an amazing little certificate. That's awesome. We're going to do something kind of similar but a little different, and I'll explain it here in just a little bit. But first, so here's what we're talking about, becoming an environmental hero, okay? So I'll tell you what that means basically here in just a second.
Is it working?
Well, maybe I'll just do it this way.
Wait a minute now.
Okay, it's missing some pictures, but we'll get by.
Okay.
So basically, what I mean by an environmental hero, I call it, or an environmental steward. A steward is somebody that looks after something, right? So if we're talking about an environmental steward, that's somebody like a park ranger that is out there in the environment, in the wild, taking care of the animals and taking care of the trees and the plants, and making sure that people stay safe and that people respect and understand these animals as well. So it's something kind of similar to what we're trying to do here. So if I can move on. What I'm going to start with, I'm going to talk to you about what an ecosystem is. Okay, so an ecosystem is basically a home in nature for animals and plants. We live in ecosystems too, so it's like your home is, you can think about it, your house is kind of like your ecosystem. Well, wild animals have their own ecosystems by streams or in forests, either way, wherever they can be found. That's their home, that's their ecosystem. Some key terms about that, and we'll talk about some of these in a little bit more in just a second. But you've got a food web. Has anybody ever heard of a food web before? Maybe like a food chain? Yeah. Okay, so like a food web is just a bunch of food chains mixed together, and it shows how plants and animals interact with each other. In food webs, you've got things like predators. Those are things that hunt other animals. You've got prey. Those are the ones that get hunted. And then you have something called a keystone species. And that species has a lot of connections, they're either predator or prey, but they affect a lot of other animals going along. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Okay,
let's see it. Maybe it'll load up there.
Almost done.
It'll load maybe in just a second. But what you'll see here in this food web. Okay, so what you'll see is there's a lot of animals on it, and they all interconnect. They all have different arrows pointing to each other. So a mouse may have an arrow pointing to a snake, which have an arrow pointing to a hawk. And what that means is that the mouse gets hunted by the snake, and then the snake can get hunted by the hawk. And so it moves forward like that. And hopefully, I wanted to have... So, okay, well, it's not going to show up, but that's basically what I'm showing here. So, like I said, you've got a hawk, which is...
There it is, there you go, yeah.
Like a buzzard, right? This is what can be known as a predator. This is an example of something that preys on other animals, and just because something below it can also be a predator. If it preys on something, it's a predator. And if you move down, does anybody know what it is? I've got one circle, but what's an example of something that could also be considered like a prey? Any idea? Besides a frog, obviously I have a frog. But just from this picture, what's something else? Do you think, what I told you about the arrows, what's something else that could be a prey on here? Maybe. Yeah? I'm sorry?
The grasshopper.
Oh, the grasshopper?
Yeah, that's
You're right. It's right there. And guess what? The grasshopper gets eaten by the frog, so that's exactly right. The grasshopper can be considered a prey. So, that moves me to my main point with this, and it's about what animals who are called keystone species are called. A keystone is a brick that holds all the other bricks together, right? So it's the same idea. A keystone species is an animal that kind of holds the ecosystem, the home for everybody, together. So in this one, what we've got here, we've got the snake is a keystone species because it keeps the population of the frogs down and the other small birds, and those keep the populations of the insects down, right? But then it also helps feed the larger animals. So that's why it's a keystone, because it affects a lot of others. So, with that, I want to talk about our first animal we're going to see today, who is our representative, our ambassador for a keystone species, and her name is Sandy. And I'm gonna get Sandy out here so you all can see her, because I'm super excited. I'm super excited to show you Sandy. I hope you're excited to see her.
Oh yeah.
So,
Nick's got the front row right there. He's right.
unfortunate. We're getting
Oh, they put that knot in tight, huh? I had some students use it earlier today. I usually do it loosely, but they must have really.
Okay, we'll get it there.
You okay, Chris?
I'm trying. Okay. After that
Triple
dramatic-
knotted, right?
So, I'm gonna push this down here. We've got. Oh, okay. Well, we're actually gonna meet, and she can count as a keystone species too. But we're actually gonna meet our friend.
Who you got?
Snowy.
Oh, she's. Oh, okay. Must have. Okay.
We're gonna meet our friend Snowy here.
And you can take Sandy out too afterwards if you want, Chris.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
Snowy here. Well, Sandy, I was going to show you is a western hognose snake, but Snowy is a corn snake. But she'll serve the
Dan.
exact same purpose that Sandy would have anyway. So, again, snakes, just in general, help eat rodents. They help, like I have on the picture, they help keep some smaller bird populations down. So animals just like Sandy and Snowy here do that just the same. So I'm going to go around, and again, same rules apply whenever Dan was bringing around Sharon. But does anybody want a two-finger touch Snowy here?
Oh, good deal.
If you do,
That's
remember,
brave,
if you
folks.
don't, put your hands underneath your bottom, sit on your hands. But if you do, I'm going to bring her around, and I'm going to let you two-finger touch her. So just run your fingers. Yeah, there you go.
Good deal.
Gently, just softly
Good
down.
deal. Good.
No.
That's
okay.
okay.
Awesome. Steve, you want to touch her?
So brave.
Yeah.
No.
There you go. She feels really good.
Does a little squirt in everybody's hand.
Feel her skin, her scales. Isn't that
Good
awesome?
stuff.
Thank you for doing it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Good stuff.
She's trying to go up my sleeve there. Alright, well, so can anybody tell me just like something cool you just felt just now? Like whenever touching Snowy here? Very smooth, that's right. And that's her scales. Her scales are really smooth. And you know, I don't know if you noticed this, but she doesn't have any arms or legs. So she moves by slithering her body and, you know, kind of like utilizing the friction from her scales on whatever surface she's moving on. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Snowy away now. So everybody say bye to Snowy.
Oh, bye, Snowy.
She did a really good job at being
That's
a
great.
great animal ambassador.
That's great.
But she's a little tired, just like Sharon was. So she needs to go back.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
We're going to continue on. I'm just going to keep using it this way, not going full screen just because I'm not doing that. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is what an indicator species is. Now, don't worry, we don't have any of these in here right now. I'm not going to make you touch any bugs, but this is an example of. This is called a caddisfly, and they live in streams that are healthy because they're indicator species, and that means that when they're there and they're healthy, that means that the stream or the system that they're in is also healthy, right? So you can find these little guys, they actually take these rocks and kind of put it around their body so they kind of look like really pretty sometimes. They have shiny rocks, and they live on the underside of stream rocks. You could pull it up and kind of see them hanging out under there. But an indicator species that I do want to talk about here
Almost done.
is our next friend, Sanford. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Sanford out so you guys can meet him, but then we're going to do a quick activity, and then I'm going to, well, like a quick activity and a half almost, and then I'm going to pull him back out, okay? So you're going to get to see Sanford twice, but the first time is just so you can meet him, you know, because he's got a jog he's going to do here in just a little bit. But, and I'm going to need a volunteer to kind of walk around with the water bottle.
Oh, here we go.
Around the water bottle to keep my hands moist because Sanford is a special creature that kind of has moist skin, and it needs that skin to stay moist so it can like breathe and function properly, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull him out, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Good deal, Chris. Good deal. Getting ready to see them, Sanford.
Oh, see, that one was much easier. He's a little feisty.
All right.
Okay, you're right. Salamander. Sanford's actually a tiger salamander, and he gets that name because he's got these little stripes that are very similar to tiger stripes. He doesn't roar though. I've never heard him roar.
Not yet.
So yeah, Sanford's a tiger salamander, and I'm going to go around and let you two-finger touch him as well, and you'll notice something that's very different from what you noticed with Snowy. Okay, so we're just going to go around. Remember, same thing. Oh no, you don't have to. Same thing.
And you went. Yeah. If you wanna touch them, we can spray a little bit of water on your finger, and then you could touch them right around the tail there. Sure, if you want.
Pretty cool.
If you want to.
It is kind of slimy.
Here, you know what? You'll have another opportunity.
Yeah, please.
You want to try to pet him?
Yeah, you guys right.
You're good.
There you go. All right. Now be real gentle.
Here, try to get him down here.
Right. Good deal. It is kind of slimy. That's cool. Well, hang on one second, Thomas. I'm videotaping Mr. Chris right now.
Don't wipe it on me. I know you thought about it.
You feel that? And you were very eager to point out what you felt last time, so maybe feel that this time you can see what
You got marker all
the difference is.
No, can I have mine?
Oh, yeah.
Try to.
Oh, so blue.
Okay, so
I know, we're gonna
can anybody point out what the main difference between Snowy, what you just felt between Snowy and Sanford was?
Good question.
Slimy,
Yeah,
yeah.
good
And
question.
Sanford is slimy because he needs that slime on his skin. Or well, he needs to be slimy because his skin needs to stay wet. Because he kind of, in certain ways, breathes through his skin. So what I'm going to do, like I said, we're going to do a quick activity and a half. Make sure you get some hand sanitizer Dan's coming around with it. I'm going to put Sanford up just for a little bit because we'll need him in a moment. Very important job he has to do here. But,
She got some.
Good stuff.
okay. So, now onto the pretty little paper devices that I set on your tables earlier. We're getting to those now. And what I'm going to have you do, and I'm going to kind of try to help show you, help go along on the board at the same time. But you're going to take some of your markers, and you're going to take the glue sticks, and I'm going to pass out these right here. And you'll notice something on these pieces of paper that's quite interesting if you've been paying attention. You've got little Sanfords.
Oh.
And you're going to see
Isn't
little
that nice?
Snowies as well.
Hey.
And if anybody needs another, let me know. I've got plenty of extras. But then here's some Snowies.
Hey.
So just hang on to these for just a second. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll tell you what we're going to do with these right now. So, we're going to draw, because we talked about an ecosystem, and we talked about Snowy, and we talked about Sanford, okay, and I kind of told you about where they live and kind of like what they need. So now what we're going to do, on that sheet of paper, you're going to draw an ecosystem. And I want you to draw 3 things. You're going to draw one, and I'll just kind of write it here so you can see. I want you to draw a tree. I want you to draw a river, or some type of flowing water, however it is you want to draw it. And I want you to draw some grass, like just an open field with some grass, okay? So we're gonna take like 2 or 3 minutes, and I just want you to draw that really quickly. I want you to draw me a tree, a river, and some grass.
All right, we got to get our
Feel free to
habitat.
draw whatever else you want along with that. Just don't draw any animals. Just draw the environment.
Okay, so we're just drawing their home right now. So Thomas, we gotta draw a tree, a river, and grass. You gonna draw a tree? Which one are you gonna do first? Tree? Hang on 1 second. Hang on. I'm gonna set up my tripod
Can you
here.
draw me a tree, a river, and some grass? Yeah. Okay. Well, here. Here, I need to get a marker first. What color do you want? What color do you want your river to be? What color do you want your river to be? You want your river to be orange? Yeah? Okay.
Hey, we got trees in the lake.
That's fine.
Which one are you gonna draw first?
What's done?
You draw the tree first? You want me to help you draw? Which color are we drawing the tree in?
You got yourself a tree and a river and some grass? Awesome. Awesome. I'm going to tell you what to do with that in just a second, so just hang on to that idea. You got yourself a tree, you got you some water. Can you get some grass? Can you draw me do you need one of these? Yeah, you're good. Draw me a tree, a river, and some grass. Okay? You can draw. Yes.
What do you get?
Thomas, which one do you want Chris to have?
Draw a tree?
Maybe the tree?
No, Thomas. They can't all help you. There's only so much you want to help.
Okay. Well, here, you know what I'll do? I'm going to do a purple river. I'm going to draw you a little river down here.
Look at this. Look at this.
Draw you a little river.
Now what if I did like a tree?
Don't be trying to get everybody out.
I know what you're doing.
Kind of like.
I know.
Just do your tricks.
So here, what I want you to do, you can use this black, or you can use that. Either way. Can you draw me some grass? Can you draw me some grass? That would be great. Okay, let's take about 30, 45 more seconds. That's 75 minutes.
So we got our tree. Now you just have to draw the grass. Hey, what's grass?
What's done?
You got it. Yeah, you got your river. Can you draw some grass too? Can you draw a river? Cool, you got your tree, your river, the grass. I love it, I love it. Got a bunch of artists in the house. I can't believe it. You draw a lot. Y'all can draw all day out there.
It's always real calming and nice and fun.
Look, there you go.
You can draw some real pretty pictures.
Okay. Alright, so we're getting close to 5. I don't want to mess with snack time. So we're going to finish this up really quickly, okay? So, now with your tree, your river, and your grass, I want you to place Sanford, the salamander, and Snowy, the snake. I want you to glue it where you think they belong. Okay? Now remember, Sanford had wet skin. Sanford, and I needed water to squirt on Sanford. So, where do you think that means Sanford might live? Near the water. Correct. That's awesome. You can put them in the river, you can put them on the bank, you can draw a little rock if you want.
So we got to put Sanford on there.
And then with Snowy, I want you to put Snowy where you think she belongs best. Now, her skin was kind of dry, right? So maybe she belongs beneath a tree, or maybe she belongs in the grass. You know, you can put her wherever you want. You can even put her chilling out near Sanford if you want.
That's right.
She goes down to drink water too.
Good.
And then
So we got the snake going in here. It's good. Nick's got that. Snowy and Sanford.
Oh yeah, wet skin.
So we got that. Okay. Good,
okay.
good.
While you're finishing that up, like I said, we have 1.5 activities. I got a little half activity. It's just something for you to follow along with me. First, before we do that half activity, I'm going to tell you my last thing that I'm going to tell you, and that's what does it take to become an environmental hero. We talked about that at the beginning. We want you to become an environmental hero. Okay, so there's a couple of do's and there's a couple of don'ts. So the do's, one thing we could do, you can leave logs, like logs that are on the ground. They provide a nice, moist, cold, dark environment that people like Sanford, or not people, but animals like Sanford love to hang out in. So what you can do is you can leave logs to help salamanders, toads, and frogs. You can leave those logs alone.
Good.
Another thing you can do is you can pick up litter in the woods or by streams. If you see a Coke can or if you see a piece of paper or something that's out there in the woods, just pick it up.
Just 1
throw it away in
second,
the trash
Thomas.
can. Because that could potentially harm an animal that's out there in the wild, and you can help. That's something that you can do. And the last thing that you can do is you can teach others about the importance of the animals in the wild.
Yeah.
So some of the things you learn today with Dan and myself, like he says, you're an animal educator now, certified. So go out there and teach Teach other people. If you see somebody like messing with a snake, go, hey, don't do that, because one of the don'ts is to do not approach or touch wild animals. Okay. Now I know you got your certification, but like Dan said, don't just go out in the woods and start picking up snakes, because that's dangerous.
Exactly.
And it's dangerous for you, and it's dangerous for them. Another thing you don't do is don't leave trash. If you want to pick up trash, you don't want to leave any. Or don't leave any food, because sometimes that could, like for bears get used to food, and then they start getting into people's trash.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the last thing is, don't teach others to be scared of wild animals. It's important to respect them. Okay? Respect them at a distance and go, man, that's a really pretty snake, but I'm not going to approach it. But don't teach other people that snakes are scary, because they're not. It's okay to be afraid of them, but that's just because you don't necessarily understand. But they're not to be scared of. Okay? So, those are some of the things it takes to be an environmental hero. And the last thing we're doing is you're going to become one. Because the next step, and this is what Sanford's going to kind of help us out with, based off what you just learned, we're going to do a pledge, and you're going to become a junior ranger, and Sanford's going to deputize you as a junior ranger. Because he's an animal ambassador. He has the authority to. I don't have the authority to deputize you, but Sanford does. So it's really awesome that we've got him here. It's a really important job. So, we're gonna run through this, and then we're gonna repeat it, and then Sanford's gonna deputize you. Okay? So you're gonna say, "I pledge to protect animals by leaving." What are we leaving? Remember, we leave something to protect salamanders, toads, and frogs.
Logs.
That's right. Good.
Protect animals by leaving logs. Pick up trash. There you go.
Yep.
I pledge to not approach wild animals. It's okay to approach your dog, that's fine, because your dog's not a wild animal. But if you see somebody like an animal like Snowy out in the wild, you don't want to approach her. And the last thing is, I pledge to teach others.
Others, good. That's
to do
right.
the same thing. Okay.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
here's the full pledge. Okay. So now I'm going to bring out Sanford, and what you're all going to do is you're all going to say this, and he's going to go around and officially deputize you. Okay. So bring out my buddy Sanford one last time. Now this time, so you two-finger touched Sanford earlier, but this time you're going to shake Sanford's hand, but in a way that's okay for him. So you're going to hold out a pinky, okay? And I'm going to take his little hand, and you're going to touch his little hand, pinky or finger, either one. You're going to touch his little hand, and that's you shaking his hand, that you making a promise that you pledge to do these things for Sanford and his friends, okay?
It's a once in a lifetime thing here. Pretty cool.
Yeah, almost done.
We gotta shake his hand first.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm eating in the snack
No,
time.
it's
Okay, so, everybody, while I've got Sanford out so he can hear you, let's repeat after me. I pledge to protect animals by leaving logs.
Protect animals by leaving logs.
Pick up litter.
Pick up litter.
Not approach wild animals.
Not approach wild animals.
And teach others to do the same.
And teach others to do the same.
All right, now Sanford
Nice.
just heard all of you say that, so if you shake his hand, he expects you to do this, because by shaking his hand, you're going to be officially deputized as an official junior ranger, okay?
Here we go.
There you go.
Nice.
Good job. Okay. Thomas did. Good job. Okay.
How's your guy doing? There you go. Just touch his little hand. There you go.
Good job. Look at this.
You're reading from the pledge that you just read, Sanford. Do you want to?
Hey, Nick.
There you go. Okay, so now you all have been officially deputized, and I have some little deputy stars for you that you can take home.
All right.
You've all been officially deputized as a junior ranger, and Sanford has has granted that deputization. So
That's so
bye,
cool.
Sanford.
Bye, Sanford.
Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. I wanted to say thank you, ESP.
All right.
Very wonderful. I've taught here twice now, and I really loved it. I'm going to get you your deputy stars, and you can go off and get your snack. But thank you so much. It's been a blast. I've really had a great time teaching.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Let's give him a hand. All right, man.